Hi and welcome back to a new art journaling video. Today I will create a collage in my art journal, and therefore I'm using parts of this watercolor painting. This is a practice sheet when I just play around with my watercolors and try out different techniques, especially how to paint flowers. And when I've done these paintings, I often don't know what to do with them, but they look really beautiful when you cut them up and use them in your mixed media pieces. The last video I have released on my channel is one of my watercolor paintings that I will use in my art journal. I will link it up for you in the top right corner info box. I do a lot of watercolor painting recently because I really enjoy it. I have watched some Skillshare classes and they are really great to learn something about watercolors because they are all with voiceover and very detailed in comparison to the tons of beautiful watercolor videos you can find on YouTube. I have a coupon code for you for 2-3 free months over on Skillshare, and it's completely free. If you cancel in time, you don't have to pay anything, so maybe this is something you would like to try out. In addition to the watercolor papers, I'm also using some old book paper and other leftovers. And here I'm adding some stitching lines with a stamp from the Rubber Dance Grungy Border stamp set. Of course you can do some real stitching, but I'm always too lazy to pull out the sewing machine. What I also use for collaging are some papers that I've used to lay under a painting and have some leftover paint on them. These are very interesting to use in a collage because you never know what they will look like in the end. And what I'm also using today is a piece of a leftover jelly print where I have stamped some trees on. I'm using all kinds of papers that are laying around and that I don't want to throw away, but there is no reason to keep them. In one of my previous videos, I asked you about your paper scraps and how do you store them, or do you keep them? And I got some really interesting answers about how to store these leftovers. For now, I just have a big box where they are laying in, but sometimes it would be really nice to have them sorted in any kind of way. Maybe I will change my system. Here I am still not sure if I want to use that big watercolor piece on the left side, but I don't want to cut it up more because I really like how it looks. I just arrange the papers and see if I like it, and when I'm sure that it's nice, then I stick them down. One positive thing of that Tombow glue stick is that you have about 2 minutes to get that paper off again. The journal that I'm working in is a handmade journal. It's a really simple one made from an envelope and leftover papers, and I have a tutorial on this and I will link this up in the info box as well. It's not that journal, but it's one that is made in the same way. Here you see that piece I've talked about before. It's the one with the trees. These are the carved whimsy wood trees from Rubber Dance, and I really like them and I think the colors match perfectly, and so I will use them here on this journal page. And this was just a leftover paper from a jelly printing session where I've cleaned my brayer and then I stamped the trees onto it. I don't like all these square shapes I have on the page, and I will soon decide to cut that tree piece up to a wavy border before I will glue it down. I'm curious to know if you are using also glue sticks for your collages or if you always work with gel medium. I have put a voting into the info box. Maybe you like to click or to answer the question in the comments. I often use gel medium for my collages, especially when I have a real plan for an art journal page. Then I use gel medium and cover it often up with a thin layer of gesso. But when I'm working in that junky kind of journal, I just use that glue stick and stick everything down, and I don't mind when the edges come off a little bit. I think sometimes that makes it look even more interesting. When you're using such thick papers to stick them down with the glue stick, you always have to hold it in place for a little while because it will come off easily. I also add some of the stitching border to this piece to make it look more cohesive with the other side. I add some additional stamping to the page using the artsy spiral stamp. To blend everything a little bit into each other, I'm using gesso with a palette knife, and I just apply it in some areas to the page. This creates some interesting texture and lets it look more artsy. When everything is dry, I go in with my watercolors to add some extra color and interest to the page. For more of a grungy look, and also because I really like that style, I'm using a water-soluble graphite pencil and add some scribbles to the page. I often dip the nib of that pencil into water and then make my marks, because then you get a deep black impression. Here I'm also using the black watercolor pencil from Faber-Castell because it's more intense than a normal graphite pencil. It's one of their Magnus series. You will find most of the products I'm using in my Amazon storefront. There is a link in the description box. I'm searching for a main image. I have these little handmade booklets that I've just stapled together from old papers. This is the way I store my leftovers. I use a stapler and staple some pages together that they are not all separate, and when I use them I can flip through them and pick something out. And here I'm using a cat. It's a watercolor illustration I've scanned to the computer and then made as a printable, so I can use it in different sizes. If you like to see how easy it is to create these lovely pads with watercolors, just tell me in the comments and I can make a video for that. Now I'm cutting up some words. These are from the Rubber Dance Journal word stamp set, and I've embossed it in white to black cardstock. And I have some laying here around and I don't want to throw them away, so I just pick out some matching words I like to have on this page. These circle images are also made with Photoshop. I have scanned one of my art journal pages and then created these circles to print them out. After I've glued these circles down, I also add some more words. This time I've used the Mixer Sentiment stamp sets on some pattern paper, and I also just cut some words out that were left over from other projects and adhere them to the page. Here you can see the finished spread. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you see us next time. Thank you so much for watching today and I wish you a Merry Christmas. We will maybe see us before because I have a review video for the ARTEZA journal and I think I will publish this on Monday. Have a nice day. Bye!